After America won its independence from Great Britain, the Founding Fathers created the country's first written constitution, called the Articles of Confederation. This document set up a government where most of the power was given to the states, and the central government was very weak. The 13 colonies, now states, were more like 13 separate countries under this system. The reason for giving so much power to the states was to prevent tyranny, which is when a government is cruel and unfair to its people. Early Americans were worried that their new leaders might become like King George, who they believed was a tyrant. However, it soon became clear that the Articles of Confederation weren't working. It was hard to pass laws, changes to the Articles required everyone to agree, and there was no president to enforce laws. A stronger government was needed, and that's why the Founding Fathers decided to create a new constitution, which is still in place today. British government, a model for America. To understand American government, it's important to look at the British government, which influenced the Founding Fathers. Back in 1215, a document called the Magna Carta limited the power of England's king. Wealthy landowners forced King John to agree to certain protections, and they formed a council to make sure the king followed the law. This Magna Carta was England's first constitution, and over time, England developed a government where the king or queen shared power with a parliament. Parliament, which is still around today, is made up of two houses, the House of Lords and the House of Commons. Learning from Britain. Over time, the British monarchs had to share more of their power with Parliament. Documents like the Magna Carta and the English Bill of Rights from 1689 limited the monarch's power and gave Parliament more control. The idea of checks and balances, where different parts of the government keep each other from becoming too powerful, was something Americans liked. That's why the US government today has three branches: the executive, president, the legislative, Congress, and the judicial courts. Each branch has some control over the others to prevent any one part from becoming too powerful. Representation and voting. In Britain, not everyone had the right to vote. Some people were not allowed to vote based on how much property they owned or other factors. This led to unfair representation in Parliament, where some areas had more power than others. The Founding Fathers wanted to avoid these problems, so they created a system where representatives in the House of Representatives are chosen based on state population, while each state gets the same number of senators in the Senate. A president, not a king. While many early Americans didn't like the idea of a king, they did see the need for a strong leader. Instead of a king, they created the role of president. Unlike a king, the president is elected and doesn't inherit power. The president's power comes from the people, and elections are held every 4 years to ensure that the president is doing a good job. Protecting rights. The Founding Fathers knew that protecting individual rights was important to prevent tyranny. Inspired by British documents like the Magna Carta and the English Bill of Rights, they created the Bill of Rights as the first 10 amendments to the US Constitution. These amendments protect freedoms like the right to a fair trial, protection of private property, and the right to speak out against the government. By looking at the flaws and successes of both British and American systems, the Founding Fathers created a government that balances power, protects individual rights, and works to prevent tyranny. This system has continued to evolve, but the lessons learned from history remain important in shaping the government we have today.